made me cry so hard
Oh my gosh, dude, for real.
was Violet Evergarden.
Holy freak. I knew it was going to be sad going in, but like I didn't expect to cry as often as I did in the show.
I thought it was like, oh, it's sad. I'm not going to cry. Just horribly wrong.
I think I cried almost every episode.
Was this the kite kill?
Kite?
The
Oh
kite
my
kill?
gosh, yeah, it's that one.
Okay.
Holy freak. Yeah, you need to see the show. This one's up your alley. Revenger. It's like
gory.
It's the gore mixed with like the killing scenes are super brutal. There's this one where there's this girl that uses a kite to kill people. She has this kite get wrapped around this guy, and he gets choked up on the neck, and then the kite flies up far into this guy and freaking cuts his head off. Yeah. But I have discovered that I picked the best show this season. I am the winner.
2 episodes
in. I already chose the best show, and it's called...
Hello, everybody. It's been a while, hasn't it? Welcome to Life is Daijoubu. Do you know what episode this is?
Episode 16.
Yes.
To be fair, we haven't been gone. We've been gone, but
we've recorded in a while.
We haven't recorded in about a month, but episodes kept coming out because we're gamers.
Okay. We got big brains.
So I'm Mr. Thane.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
You got your sweater.
Yeah.
You don't dress the part.
Yeah. And here join me is Cole and Sky.
Hello.
Apparently, there's a rumor that Mr. Rogers wears sweaters to hide his marine tattoos, but
I've heard of that rumor before.
I don't think there's ever any confirmed information that was ever in the military.
That was one of my cousin's grandfather's things. Is he always wore long sleeves because he got tattoos, and he was like ashamed of them, but he got them when he was in the military.
Did you ever get to see him?
I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen him lots of times.
Were they pretty cool?
He's very old, and I also think he might have poured acid on his arms to try to get him to come off.
Ooh.
Yikes.
That might not be true, but I feel like it is, because they look very faded. You can't really tell what they are.
I do know when you get old, they kind of do get faded and
Wait a minute,
stretchy.
if he did pour acid in his arms, they would look all like jacked up and
a little
scarred.
bubbly almost.
Yeah, bubbly and scarred.
Okay, is this what you thought, or did somebody tell you that?
I don't know. I feel like I might have conjured it up, but I feel like I was told this because
it's like
I don't know if my brain could conjure that up.
You thought of a lie so convincing that you somehow convinced yourself it's true.
To be fair, I haven't seen this individual since maybe high school.
I'm gonna chalk this up to a Sky dumb kid brain moment.
Could be.
That sounds like that, because I know I've done similar things.
Yeah, like I thought of stuff. It's like, is that true? Yeah, that's true. And then I tell someone to look it up. It's like, wow, that was not true at all.
Hey, you want to know what I want to know? What is true though? You want to know what I want to know is true?
What?
Some anime news.
You want to find? Yeah. Well, I've got one that we may not know.
Well, unless you go to the fake anime news sites that just like to spew sensationalism, but so far they haven't been. I mean, Anime News Network is probably the worst it's come, but usually they just report like normal.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything that's wrong on Anime News Network.
The only thing wrong is sometimes their opinions on shows, and I'm like...
Your opinion is wrong. How dare you have one of those? If it's not in line with mine,
you're wrong.
Yeah. But that's just my opinion. They could have opinion too.
That's just a theory.
I still though
an opinion theory.
In a weeb theory.
I'm still kind of baffled by the chick who like did a episode 1 review of Chainsaw Man. She said, "Ew, it's too gory."
Well,
2 out of 5.
What was the one you were telling me where not a lot. I should say this is probably a minority of the Chainsaw Man fan base, but they were like bitching that they thought the anime adaptation wasn't faithful.
Yeah, that's the petition thing, which we hadn't covered over the news because it happened over a break recording. But yes, a Japanese fan. Here's my bit of news.
No, wait, this was a Japanese fan? Because I had heard about it too.
Yeah,
I assumed it was some stupid American.
No, a Japanese fan. You go to the petition on change.org. It's all in Japanese. He made a petition to want to remake the anime with a different director because it was slightly off from the manga, which is baffling to me.
I'm
And,
shook.
Yeah. And
I
it's
thought
got
the American fans were bad.
and it's got
Woof woof.
I haven't checked
This is
it,
like a Western
but
show.
it's got an ungodly amount of signatures. Like last time I checked, it was at 3,000. I was like, oh Lord.
3,000 though, I feel like that's just a drop in the bucket of how many
Oh,
fans
yeah,
of
totally.
Chainsaw
That's-
Man there are.
That's
Yeah.
a lot, but it's not that much when you really
Millions
think
of
about it.
fans.
Yeah, this was probably one of
Um,
the biggest shows of the year.
And I'm thinking that, like, here's the thing about petitions, and it's always funny. Even I'm pretty sure some people even probably know this who make the petitions, stupid ones like these, but no matter how many signatures you get, they can look at that and literally say no. Whoever you're lobbying it to, they can just say no.
Look at The Witcher. The Witcher has like over almost 300,000 signatures that the fans want to fire the writers and get Henry Cavill back.
Has there ever been an online petition
Netflix
that's
could just
actually worked?
I mean,
it's,
they changed the Sonic movie, but
it's just
I don't know
really
if that was
for
necessarily a petition.
yeah,
I think
it was
the
just
internet
fan
bitching.
backlash.
Yeah.
I think like petitions only work if it's like a serious like
Political topic.
political thing, or like some like all the front page stuff for change. It's just like residential
Yeah.
town
Stuff
things.
that actually matters.
Yeah, stuff that actually matters.
Internet petitions almost never are
Yeah.
things that matter.
Well, I got a question
Yeah.
for you guys because you guys are more informed on it than I am. But obviously, when it comes to adapting books, or I guess we'll start with books, is usually people are like, oh, the books are always better because when they read it, they don't really have any visuals and they're kind of conjuring it up in their own mind. Whereas a manga, you have the visuals and it's almost like you're reading the movie. You know what I mean? When I read manga, I'm able to follow it along and I really like the visuals. Aside from voice acting and music and sound effects and I guess motion in general, I feel like when they adapt something like a manga, there's a little bit of imagination up to it, but you're seeing it visually. And looking at the Chainsaw Man one, like, what were they complaining about? You had recently read it, so you were like telling us how faithful it was each chapter. I mean,
Yeah,
we've read it too.
I mean, it's an adaptation, right? So that's what it comes down to. It had to take a medium and then adapt it to its own medium. Essentially, you can't replicate everything one for one that a manga has. Where I mean, it's really easy. It's not one for one, but it's really easy to adapt a manga into an anime. I shouldn't say easy, but I think you know what I mean. It's not you're taking a book and making it into a movie. You know,
Well,
that's a little different.
See, that's what I was saying. I feel like there's less reader injection into a manga as opposed to a book.
Yeah, so there is that, but there are things that the manga or comic books in general as a medium can do that movies and animation just can't do. They just can't replicate it. The best example, and I saw this actually, I never realized this when I was reading it. I just saw it, but I realized it even more, or not even more. It
was apparent.
I was told this in a video.
Oh.
But like I can figure out the word. Anyway, I was watching a Gigik video and he was talking about adaptations in general. And he brings up this shot in Chainsaw Man. It's like episode 5 or 6 or something like that. It's where they fight the Katana Devil for the first time and Aki's taking him on, and Aki's got the nailed sword and he's getting the the ghost? No, it's not the ghost. Whatever devil it is that's doing the nail? And they flick the nail. That's what you see its arm like come in from another dimension and flick it. Well, in the manga, it comes from out of the panel, and so it looks like it's coming from off the page into the panel, flicking the nail, and it's really really cool. And it really does bring up, make you realize like, wow, this is coming from a different place. It's not from their dimension, if you will. Whereas in the anime, it's just coming out of like a portal, you know? It's not like as hard-hitting for that specific scene. And that's one of those things they had to adapt. And it's stuff like that they can't adapt one for one. And I think that's probably where a lot of these people kind of got angry. But there isn't a way around it. You have to adapt it to the medium that you're portraying. And so it's
very petty.
It's very petty, and I think it's a non-issue, especially if it tells the same story. If it didn't tell the same story and try to like essentially recreate it in its own way, like Promised Neverland, for example, then that's where I think you get to a bad adaptation. Like, I'm surprised there wasn't petitions for that one over this one. Like, this one was a great adaptation in my opinion.
Literally.
Here's the thing. I think some people, they complain that it's too much like a movie. This may be a hot take, but I like movies better than anime. I know, controversial. But here's the thing. There's a lot of greatest movies of all time compared to greatest anime of all time. That right there is like that type of storytelling is way more effective for me than anime. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love anime. Of course, I'm doing this podcast with you guys. But movies are something different.
I just realized Dana's a fake anime fan.
The cinema, when you pull it off, it's magical. So to have Chainsaw Man like a movie, I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love it.
Who wrote Chainsaw Man?
A movie buff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And obviously, he was directly involved with his own anime.
Actually, there was also another report said he was mostly hands off. So
I've heard both. I've heard both. Then.
Yeah. So I don't know what to believe, but it doesn't matter.
You can see his influence when you watch it.
Yeah, let alone the introduction of the show where it shows like all of these movie references in the opening, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But just in general, like it's clear that they were trying to do a good adaptation. They weren't trying to make it their own.
Yeah.
They weren't promised Neverlanding it, so I think that's all it really matters.
That's a win in my book.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure also somewhere Tatsuki Fujimoto said he's okay with it.
Totally, yeah. I think so.
He's fine with it. He says
I think a lot of like creators are typically hands off with their adaptations for the most part because they're still busy doing whatever else they're doing. And they don't have a lot of time. I'm sure they wane a little bit, but like for the most part, I don't think they do too much. Sometimes they do, but for the most part, not really. But
well, I'm gonna have to look into it because I'm curious as to what specific instances that they're talking about. Because from what you were explaining as we were going through watching it week by week. And from what I remember, I mean, it was very faithful.
Yeah.
To the point to where we would talk about a scene and then literally look it up in the book.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, this is, like, slightly offbeat a little bit, but just for another example of an adaptation, we just watched The Last of Us episode 1, which came out yesterday as of this recording, and, like, that is a great adaptation of the video game. It takes the video game and what worked there and brought it over here and then readapted it and made it fit its medium of a TV show. It essentially took out the video gamey stuff of it and turned it into a television, and it did a good job of that. So that's really what it comes down to in my mind is being able to adapt it to the medium without changing the meaning of the story. That's what makes a good adaptation, and I think Chainsaw Man did that, so I think it's silly that people don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
To each their own, I guess.
Yeah, to each their own. Like, if you don't think it was that great, that's fine. I guess you can let us know in the comments what you really thought about it, but like...
Well, and maybe if you look at it objectively, like, you can disagree with the story and just not like the show in general, but to say that it is a not faithful anime adaptation of the manga, it might be a stretch.
I agree, yeah.
The only axe was the Muscle Devil, rest in peace.
Yeah, half a chapter devil that showed up that Denji killed instantly. Like, that was a good moment, but like it just wasn't adapted. They just ditched it, you know.
They could slip it in somewhere, but I doubt it.
I doubt it. I don't think
at the beginning of season 2, episode 1, it's like, hey, there's some devil causing trouble, and it's just the Muscle Devil, and he's like,
just kills a kid or something.
And then he turns and breaks the fourth wall. He's like, "You guys happy? You guys happy? He got it in there."
Yeah. I want to see a petition to add Muscle Devil to season 2.
I don't want to see that petition.
Yeah.
Earlier you said this is going back to the very beginning of the conversation before we started talking about Chainsaw Man, but you said you want to hear some real news.
Yeah.
Well, I got some fake news potentially for you.
Let's go.
I don't know how true this is. I don't personally believe it because the source didn't seem super credible, but apparently Kaguya-sama was going to get a season 4.
Whoa,
and the movie, yeah.
Maybe they were basing it off of the popularity of the final season.
It could be, yeah. They could have been doing that, but like, I don't know. I think it's still up in the air. Like, I didn't see anywhere else but a Twitter post that somebody posted. I don't even know who the person was. I don't think the post didn't seem super credible, but it was on r/anime news, so the Reddit subreddit for anime news, and it was literally the #1 thing over the past month. And I didn't even hear about this, and so I'm surprised that it's a potentially a thing. But I feel like I would have heard about it, so that's also why I'm skeptical on that one. But I do have some actual news things that are confirmed that we can talk about. So the first thing I have is Spy Family Season 2 is announced for 2023, and a movie. They get a movie as well.
Bang, dude. Spy Family's killing it.
Yeah, dude, Spy Family just prints money. That's literally the show that's just printing money right
and
now.
And copycats, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Oh. Is this a foreshadowing of something to come? I think it took me my gears had to turn. I had to figure out what was going on. The next thing I have is The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses is getting an anime adaptation.
I'm pretty sure that's the manga that Sam Man and I were reading.
I read it too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I either got caught up or gave up halfway through.
So what happened was I got caught up and I was reading it week by week, and then the people translating it, they're like, "Hey, we're done. Sorry." And so I was just like, "Well, I guess that."
I might have got to that point or something.
Is this girl named Velma?
No.
Yeah.
Speaking of Velma, terrible show.
That's not anime thing.
I know. Well,
it's American animation.
Yeah. Bad. It's bad.
Oh, you guys haven't seen it.
I've seen a lot of clips.
I've seen the trailer. Know enough that writing's bad.
I watched it and I don't personally like it, but Shaggy was good. Okay, next up we have Whisper Me a Love Song is getting an anime adaptation. Skylar, that's you.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'll like the anime better than the manga. I also need to point out the fact that I was reading it volume by volume with 3 to 4 months in between. I also sold it today. I sold all 5 volumes that I own, so hopefully this isn't one of those like sleeping bangers that will come back and bite me.
And eventually you'll have to rebuy them or something like that.
No, I think I'll like the anime better than the manga.
That's true. Next up we have, by the way, I basically pulled these news sources like at the last minute, so it's not sources, these news topics, I guess, at like last minute, so they're not like super like in depth. I just picked up random stuff that I've heard about, as well as things that seem somewhat popular. But we have Reincarnated as a Sword gets a season 2. This was last season in the winter season. Excuse me, this is the winter season now. The fall season. The fall season. This was airing. Season 1 was, and I think people really liked that one. It was one of those sleeper ones that none of us watched or even really looked into, and apparently people liked it and getting a season 2.
I saw it because I was watching the time I got reincarnated as a slime, and the titles are almost identical.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, maybe I don't know. I'll watch it eventually, I guess.
Well, my foreshadowing moment is that I watched a show that I thought it was that sword one, but it's a new one this season.
Oh, you thought it was the sword one?
It looks similar. It had a similar title, but I'll get to it when I get to it.
Okay. So the last the last bit of news that I have is, and this is the one I'm the most excited about, and there's some foreshadowing this entire episode with the little volume of manga right there. Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead is getting an anime adaptation, and it will be in the summer season of 2023. So July, we're getting it this year. Basically, they dropped the trailer, they dropped the key art, and they said, it's coming in July. Get ready, boys and girls, everybody.
That one's going to be fun.
To watch.
I'm so excited for it, dude. I'm so pumped. And it's the people, it's not the same studio, but it's the majority of the staff that did the Komi Can't Communicate seasons 1 and 2. So it's going to look great. Because that looks really good. I'm indifferent on the story of Komi, but the animation was really good. The manga is very mid. Up until a point. It's pretty good early on, then it gets bad in my opinion. I'm still reading it. I don't know why I'm still reading it.
Rent a Girlfriend, same thing. I feel you. I feel you.
Hey, I got them both. Well, that is all the news I have.
Bleach is took a hiatus and coming back in July. That's the big news.
Oh, they're taking a break on their
yeah.
Is it the same season like Core
Yeah.
or
I guess, I don't know.
Gotcha.
Like, it's like they said, oh, we're taking a break, coming back in July. It's like July. That's a pretty long time, but okay.
Also, the Slam Dunk movie killed it in Japan. I think it sold 5.7 million tickets.
Oh, the
The Slam Dunk movie.
Yeah. I think it's their very first movie, which is interesting because I guess everybody's just jumping on board making movies.
So
right
I
now,
looked it
though.
up, and I found that there are movies that they made in the 90s, but they're like 30 or 40 minutes long.
Oh, really?
And I doubt that those are movies that were released in theaters.
Like direct to DVD.
Or just another, they say movie, but it was an anime. It's another episode or something.
Yeah, sometimes the running time for some Japanese movies is like really short. It's like a short film. Yeah, even though it's amazing at the box office, I don't think anyone really knows what Slam Dunk is over here, so I'll probably just get like a direct to streaming release. Unless I'm wrong and there is a huge fan base somewhere in America, but I highly doubt it. I don't even think the manga is got and a proper, like, it had a licensing back in the early 2000s, but it hasn't even been relicensed, and I don't think the anime's got a proper like localization, so whatever. But anyways, yeah.
Should we jump into our
let's
what
jump
we're watching
into
for the season?
Next, we're gonna jump into the seasonal watches.
Let's go. And I know we talked about these in the end of the last episode, but I've added a couple since then. So I've got to redo my list anyway.
I added one.
You added one as well?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, Thane?
Sure.
Okay.
Two I'm trying to play catch up with is My Hero Academia. Yes, and this time I actually watched a few episodes. Then I got Vinland Saga. Watched the first 6 episodes. Pretty good start. It's a Viking epic. They got Nier Automata. It's a show. I like the second episode better. It's like, I'll see where this goes. They added a new character, so let's see what happens. Let's hope they don't just kill her off in a couple episodes. Then I got Inspector Season 2.
That sounded very foreshadowing. You've never played the game, though, so you don't actually know.
No, well, she's not in the game.
Oh, she's not?
I just said that she's not in the game at all.
Oh, I thought I didn't. I assumed you just meant like a new character to the show because they were in the last episode.
No. Like,
Oh.
new character in the franchise. Like, just a new character for this anime. Like, I hope she's, like, actually, like, makes more of a presence so the show feels different from the game. I mean, the game has an incredible story, but I just hope they do something different.
Yeah.
Then I got Tomo-chan as a girl. I like my tomboys. It's just it's just about a girl wanting to have her guy friend notice her, but he only sees him sees her as another guy friend. So it's a funny little
Rip
anime.
Tomo.
The
Chan.
Friend Zone anime.
Yeah. Well, more like a don't blind to being that she's a girl anime.
Get out of the Friend Zone anime.
So Thane picked a rom-com this season. That's surprising.
Yeah, that's.
Then I got 2. I also got Kobo Won't Let Me Be Invisible.
Oh.
It's just about like a character who like nobody notices. He's like Doofenshmirtz.
I see that all the time on
Yeah.
the Shonen Jump app.
Yeah.
I started reading that one forever ago, but they only had like up to chapter 8 or something like that translated on the app. And I was like, looks like I'm never reading this ever again.
Yeah.
And they were like updating like the later chapters. It was like chapter 81, 82, 83. And like if you scroll all the way down, it just goes 1 to 8. And I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, they drop a
Nope.
new chapter. I keep reading them every time they drop new chapters.
yeah, I imagine if they keep dropping new chapters, I'll probably get back into it. But I'm just like, they did the same thing with another manga that I started
They
trying
did
to read
with
too.
several of them.
It was another rom-com one. I don't remember
They
what
did
it
it
was
with
called.
Jujutsu Kaisen. They did it with another one that was. They did it with Food Wars. That's
Oh, I remember. It's called Romantic Killer.
yeah.
They're doing it with that. And because I read like the first 8 chapters of that, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of fun. Looks like I'm never going to read it ever again
Yeah.
because they're not releasing anymore. Anyway, sorry. I didn't bother you that much or take over that much.
Yeah, Cooper Let Me Invisible. It's about a guy who isn't noticed, but then one girl notices him, and then it's just cute. Then I got Spy Classroom, which is just, I don't think it's a harem, but it's based off a light novel. It's about a bunch of female spies who are trained by this one guy who's terrible at teaching, and and they're going to be on a possible mission. It'll work out great. You got Trigun Stampede, The Return of Trigun.
Is that a movie or the?
It's an actual anime, a full big blown anime, but it's by Orange, the same people who do Beastars. So the CG actually looks really good. Looks very fluent and cartoonish.
Is it like a pseudo reboot or?
Yeah, it's like a reboot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's not a retelling then. It's more story.
Yeah, it's a reimagining. I'll say it's a reimagining.
Oh, okay.
Because the character models look weird, and they're introducing new plot points I'm not familiar with from the original.
I always thought Beastars looked good, so I'm sure this one probably looks pretty fine.
Then I got Ayakashi Triangle. Reading this manga for a while. Very horny.
Yeah, horny.
Horny.
Thane gets horny for this season.
Yeah.
He gets the most horny award.
I think so.
That could be a good award. We need to start doing that. The most horny award.
He gets the horny award.
Censorship. the censorship is terrible. All it is like JPEGs of that cat character over the boobs and the area that.
Wait, this
would
isn't
be.
the dog one, right?
No, this is the one about exercising ninjas.
Oh, this is the one you were telling
plot.
about us for a while. I remember.
This one actually has a plot with a lot of horniness.
A lot of extra plot on top.
Oh yeah.
It's about
on bottom.
It's about an exorcist who tries to exorcise an evil demon cat, but he puts a spell on him and turns him into a girl. Now he's trying to find out how to turn back into a boy.
Oh, so Ranma 1/2.
Yeah, some way.
I need to see that show or read the manga. I've never have. I've always wanted to though.
And for my last one, it's this one I added recently, Reborn to Master the Blade. And it's about...
Is it like an isekai?
Kind of. It's about an old king guy in a fantasy world who dies, and he gets reincarnated as a girl, as like a girl training to be a knight. And she's like stupid overpowered, like all the other
That's
isekais.
An isekai if I ever heard one.
But it's just gender swapped. It's an old guy reincarnated as a young girl.
With broken abilities?
Yeah.
That's that right there. That's
it's a pseudo isekai because it's both the old man is from a fantasy realm, and I didn't even know it's the same two fantasy realms, but it's kept within a fantasy realm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So same world.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that all of them?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, I'll go over my list, and I'll start with our crossover we have, Thane. Me and Thane are watching one of the same shows. We're both watching Spy Classroom. And I expected that to be Assassination Classroom mixed with Spy Family at first.
I looked it up before. It's like, what's this? And I saw it's in light novel. It's like, oh, it's like a harem.
I watched episode 1, and it ends, maybe not Spy Family. There was something else I was like saying it's a crossover with. No, I did say Spy Family. But then I at the end of the first episode, the teacher's like, all right, to like pass your training, you have to get me or whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's Assassination Classroom, but they're spies this time. But then episode 2, they just skipped all that, and now they're on their mission. I'm just like, oh, so it's not
kind of rushing
Classroom.
it a bit.
It did seem a little rushed.
I have a feeling this impossible mission's not going to be the hardest thing, and then they're going to get harder stuff. It's like, oh, you thought that was hard.
I imagine it'll just keep escalating.
Yeah.
Next up, I've got Giant Beasts of Ours. This is essentially Attack on Titan, but with I'm just kidding. It's not Attack on Titan. It's just they fight big giant monsters, but I don't even know what to call it.
Are they like kaijus?
Not quite. They've only fought one monster so far, and I've seen 2 episodes. I think it's more so about the other stuff, and they just named it Giant Beasts of Ours. It's like this paladin and like a sorcerer, and they merge their bodies together, and they can fight stronger or something like that. I don't know. There's other shows that are similar. I don't know off the top of my head. Then I've got adventurers who don't believe in humanity will save the world. It's called Ningen Fushin. That's the full name, but I like this one. The animation's not like super great, but I really like the story of that one so far. A bunch of people that basically just hate other people, and they somehow got together so that they could make money and support their terrible hobbies. Like one of them's addicted to gambling, another one's addicted to sex, just buying girls, and another one's addicted to idols. And I guess I shouldn't say these are all terrible hobbies. It's just they're definitely putting too much money into these
unproductive
hobbies. Very unproductive with it.
Yeah.
Next one, and I'm surprised you're not watching this one, Thane, actually. I thought this was a Thane show for sure. It's called Revenger. It's been pretty good so far. It's probably the most serious one I'm watching this season, and it's...
Maybe I'll watch it.
It's gorgeous animation. Very, very pretty.
What's it about?
A guy that gets revenge.
Oh. Sounds right up my
Was
alley.
this the kite one? Was this the kite kill?
Kite?
The
Oh
kite
my
kill?
gosh, yeah, it's that
Okay,
one.
okay.
Holy freak. Yeah, Thane, you need to see the show. This
Okay.
one's up your alley. Revenger. It's like
Gory.
it's the gore mixed with like the killing scenes are super brutal. There's this one where there's this girl that uses a kite to kill people. She has this kite like get wrapped around this guy, and he gets choked up on the neck, and then the kite flies up far into this guy and freaking cuts his head off.
Is it like censored right now, like TV censorship, or is it like?
Pretty bloody with the scenes.
It's
that I
very
saw.
bloody, but you don't see like their head bounce off.
Oh.
But it's definitely up your alley. I think you would like this show.
Okay, I'll try Revenger.
Revenger, yeah. Episode 1 was a bop.
I mean, I've seen a Kame ga Kill. How bad could it be?
This show's great. This show's pretty good. I think it's one of the better ones this season. I'm also watching The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. I thought this was going to be one that I dropped, but I'm going to watch the whole thing because I am a sucker for the wholesome feels.
Maybe Revenger would be a good substitute for one of the shows I drop.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
You could just be like me and just watch the entire season of a show in a day so you can get caught up with Skylar because he picked the best shows.
Yeah.
But I have discovered that I picked the best show this season. I am the winner.
2 episodes in.
won.
Ooh.
I already chose the best show, and it's called High Card.
I saw that one. I started watching it. I didn't watch it.
It's the best show of the season, so you guys better get caught up so you can...
See, I'm trying to get caught up with Vinland Saga, which is probably going to be the best show of the season. Let's be honest.
Okay, best new show. That's not a sequel. It's also pseudo original. It's not completely based off something, but it
What's
is
that
got a
one
little bit of
about?
stuff. It's this guy who just it's Kingsman, okay? It's Kingsman,
So there's
but they
epic
got
fights?
magic powers.
So there's epic fights.
Yeah, and they got magic cards that will give him all powers. Main boy's powers, he literally just summoned a gun. His power is not the greatest, but it's just cool. I imagine he'll be able to use more powers in the future, but there are like rules with the magic system so far, so I think it's going to be a bop. The opening freaking slaps. The ending freaking slaps. This is the best anime of the season. I'm calling it right now. That's what it's going to be. This
Sounds
is the
like
best
Great
anime.
Pretender. I haven't seen Great Pretender. Maybe
I've
I'll
not
pick,
seen that either.
Maybe I'll pick that for my but I already got one lined up for this.
I'll show you guys the ending later tonight so you guys can be like, oh, freak. I'm watching this with
Does
you.
it sound like does it sound like Great Pretender? I know you haven't seen it, but
No, because Great Pretender's more of a mystery. This isn't a
Okay,
mystery so
yeah.
far.
Okay.
Yeah. Hard Card's gonna be cool. The other very wholesome rom-com that I'm watching is The Ice Guy and His Cool Female Colleague. Yeah, I might drop that one. I'll keep Angel Next Door, but Ice Guy is not really doing it for me. He's kind of just meh. I got Tokyo Revengers Seasons 2. I keep saying seasons. Season 2. I'm only 1 episode into that. There's 2 episodes out so far, but I'm watching that with 2 of my other buddies, and I'll probably be behind for like the next week or 2 because one of them's going on vacation and the other one's working really like a bunch of hours this week. So I think within the next 3 weeks I'll be able to get caught up. But
Is it locked in Disney jail or is it on Hulu?
It's on Hulu.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. I like when they got the bigger anime on Hulu.
Yeah.
Because it pisses people off when they just have Disney Plus. This show's on Disney Plus in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Me and my other buddies, we watched Tokyo Revengers Season 1 about a year ago probably. And when we started episode 2 or Season 2, we're watching like 5 minutes into episode 1. We're like, what the heck is even happening? We literally could not remember. So we watched like one of those recap things to explain it. But like, it's still fun. It's still Tokyo Revengers. I've heard many mixed feelings about the ending of like the manga. So we'll see where that goes. But I don't think Season 2 is going to finish the series. So who knows?
Might be either season 3 or a movie.
But yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. But that's pretty much all I'm watching. I guess I'm technically still watching Urusei Yatsura. That's going on at second core right now. So I'm still going on with that as it comes out. And Sadly, Uncle from Another World is still waiting for the last episode. I have
Oh
no
my
idea how in
God,
the world
what's
that's ever going to
happening?
come out.
Did everyone just catch COVID all at once and they're still sick?
This is they had to delay the last episode because of COVID again, and who knows when
Where
they'll be able to
are
get
they
a
in
slot
where?
to-
What studios Japan where COVID's still rampant?
I don't know, and I don't know when they'll get a slot to like be able to put that episode in to like have it air. So who knows when this one will finish?
It'll probably like an OVA or an ONA episode.
One of what's crazy bonkers though
What?
is that this is one of the shows I started watching with the very first season that we started doing the anime
Yeah.
podcast.
Still
Yeah.
not done.
Life was Daijoubu.
Still not done.
Still not done, dude. It's so sad. It just crushes my heart because I really love the show. It's super fun, super great. But yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff I'm watching this season. I'm also watching the very nostalgic and sad episodes of Pokemon where it's like Ash's final 11 episodes because that's technically a part of this season. So I figured I'd throw that out there too, but it's good, but sad too. Yeah, that's my stuff this season. I don't think I missed anything. Watch High Card. what do you got, Sky?
I've got Don't Toy With Me Nagatoro or Don't Bully Me. I've seen both of them. But
I think they say don't toy with me because the word bully is strong because
Yeah.
they're pussies.
So this one's season 2, and it's called Second Attack, and I thought that was pretty fun.
Because she's a bully.
It's fun. I really like it. It's fun seeing Nagatoro still be kind of bitchy, but she's just a tsundere. I don't know.
I'm surprised I haven't watched that show. That show has some horniness to it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a Thane show.
Yep.
That's a Thane rom-com
Yeah.
right there.
So I really like that one.
But don't worry, I got Ayakashi Triangle already, so I'm good.
I'm also watching Nier Automata.
Oh,
I'm just not really having fun with that.
I was watching that too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You probably
I
dropped
watched-
it already.
I watched episode 1 and dropped it.
See, I'm 2 episodes in, and I want to keep watching because I've heard how awesome the game
Animation
is.
is incredible, but every time they have those planes, those
Yeah,
little mech
those
planes,
CG
it's like
mech come on.
it's
you're
like
just
what the hell?
You see 2B inside of the mech, and she looks so bad inside.
Yeah.
of it. And she, it's not like just the CG 2B. It's also sometimes they animate her inside of the mech, and both just look terrible.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Terrible.
So they got the models from the games,
Mhm.
but the problem is they're PS4 models. So when you try to render it in 2D background, it's gonna look awful. You need to update that shit.
I feel like they
Unreal
should have
5.
they should have done it something like the Beastars show where
Yeah.
everything's basically 3D.
have some shade. Gets like you need shading.
Like a video
on it.
game essentially.
I think the mechs are lacking shading. That's the problem. You need like heavy shading on it. Like whatever engine they're rendering it in, they need to like put like a shader on it.
Yeah.
Is that? But like the 2D animation is freaking incredible.
Oh yeah, the 2D animation looked really good, and I forgot to mention this. I feel bad for hijacking this from you, Sky, because it was your time to talk. But I forgot that he dropped this show. So episode 1 covered roughly an hour of the game, and that's all I'd ever played of the game was roughly an hour. So I
Kind of
played
like the prologue.
Yeah, I essentially played the prologue, and I also watched the anime. So I watched the same content twice, and the conclusion I came to is if you're interested in the series, just play the game.
Yeah, probably play the game.
Yeah.
Unless I'm gonna watch the anime. Unless it does something crazy, I'll tell you about it. But
Yeah,
the game's cheap. It's like it's always on sale on Steam.
I think I paid $20 for it.
Yeah. And
It's on Steam, you
PS4,
said?
Steam and PS4,
Yeah.
and Xbox One,
Yeah, it's everywhere.
and I think Switch. Yeah, Switch. Yeah, I think it's on Switch.
Okay. Well,
It's
thank
on
you.
everything now, so you have no excuse to not play it, unless you're like a kid and your mom let you play M games like me when I was younger.
Okay, go back to your segments, guys. Sorry about that.
So that one's kind of on the chopping block for me. Then I watched My Life as Anuki-san's Dog.
Uh-oh.
I watched 2 episodes of it and dropped it. It's just a really horny show with there's nothing there.
Naked boobies.
I heard it's it's the jerk off show. You pull up an episode a week and you schmirk it, and then that's it for the
Sure,
week.
but episode
There's a
2
scene-
cucked everybody. It didn't even show anything.
There's a
got
freaking
blue-balled.
scene in the first episode where she's licking the dog's nose and it looks like she's making out with it.
The whole first episode, these are like 12-minute episodes, by the way. The whole first episode is just her in the bath rubbing her tits while the dog is in there. So
It's just, hey, you want to be a dog? This show's like, hey, you want to be a dog?
Woof
It's like,
woof.
yeah,
wanna
I
be a cute
dropped
little
it. If
corgi?
I'm gonna watch hentai, I'll just go watch hentai.
You want to actually see a dog hump a woman.
Oh, the dog's name is Pochita, by the way.
Call me when
That's apparently very common.
season 3 of Show Me Your Panties starts airing. Then I'll start watching something like that.
Okay. The next one is called Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. This one, I think this one is going to be incredible. The animation is dope. The set pieces are awesome. And it's very reminiscent of Made in Abyss, where the world is just wild.
Don't do this to me, Sky.
So,
I'm not going to binge an entire season at the end.
I'm episode 1 into that one. It's really, really fun. I'm really liking it.
You guys feel like I picked the low card. You guys,
I felt like I had that last season. I feel like I picked bad.
I need
I know
to
what you
just
feel
drop.
like, Sky.
I probably need to drop all these rom-coms. Just pick the epic ones.
This power trip right now that I have, Sky. Ooh,
It's just,
I'm feeling it.
it's just it's fun to watch good shows where it's just like, dang, it's like everything I'm doing is just a banger. Playing banger video
Totally,
games,
yeah.
watching banger anime.
Let's go.
So yeah, I think Kaina of the Great Snow Sea is going to be my favorite one, just based off episode 1. I could be horribly wrong though. Another one I'm watching is called Buddy Daddies, which is like the Spy Family that I mentioned earlier. That one's fun. Like it's spies that kill people, and you see the murders, and then they also have a little kid. They have
Spies that kill people,
Yeah.
and you see the murders.
yeah.
You see the murders.
Because like Spy Family, you see
too wholesome. They don't really show
yeah.
it.
And this one,
they show murder. Well, at least in the manga, they show murder.
Even still,
Well, there's that whole ship arc. She was killing people on
I
screen left and right.
guess.
Yeah.
I was gonna
She
say
kills
yours like the only one
she's
that
the
really
one that's
kills.
killed people. Yeah.
But this one is like straight up. These two guys are just guns blazing, killing people, doing spy things, and now they have a kid with them, and I think she's 4 years old, and I think she's just the cutest little thing, and everyone is gonna fall in love immediately with this little girl.
Anya 2.0.
She's gonna be Anya 2.0.
I find it very funny.
So it's
how,
Spy Family, but with two dads.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Buddy Daddies.
I find it very funny how the majority of like anime nowadays is like, oh, this is a popular trend, let's write it. Like you have the bully tsundere. You've got the
Spies.
spy / cute daughter they got to take care of.
It's Spy Family meets My Two Dads, that old 80s sitcom.
Probably. The next one I'm watching that I'm really liking is called Malevolent Spirits Mononogatari.
Oh, Monogatari?
Mononogatari. That one's really fun too. It's just about a guy who hates these evil spirits, and he ends up having to live with the good ones.
Is that a part of the whole Monogatari series?
No, and no thanks. I already got a crappy spirit detective show I'm watching.
Yeah. This one's really fun. I'm liking it.
The reason I'm watching Inspector because I thought the first season was all right, and also there's the Yuki Onna, and she's pretty cute.
Cute anime girls will definitely do it for you, that's for sure.
Especially if they're snow demons.
Moe. The next one that I already watched because Netflix just did a dump was The Way the House Husband 2. It was fine, but it's like I really liked season 1, but
Is it still kind of like that slideshowy?
yeah, same thing. And it's like every once in a while there's jokes that just hit and you're like, wow, that was pretty funny, but it's like they're running out of there's only so many everyday household things that you can do and make it like over the top because he's a yakuza. So I don't know. It's fine, I guess.
That makes sense to me.
The next one I'm watching is called Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel Northern War. It's fine. It's kind of ironic that the two video game ones are just not my cup of tea. Hopefully it gets better, but like there's a CG scene with the car and that was a little rough.
Oof.
Well, Cole over here with courtesy of my Steam library is playing. He's
just like, look, there's a bus. There's a. I'll high
He's
five you
playing
that
a
one.
Trials
He's
game.
Like,
Trials in the sky.
He's like, there's a bus. Let's throw coal under it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you can use that library all you want.
Well, I didn't say it was a bad show. To be fair, it could get really good, but it just, like I said, the two video game ones aren't doing it for me. Yeah. And then the third one is kind
most
of video
game ones don't do it for me, but there's some good.
The last one I'm watching, which is also kind of on the chopping block, is Farming in Another World. It's an isekai where a guy just wants to be a farmer, so he gets reincarnated, and he literally starts from nothing, and he starts farming. But like it shows the end where it's like, wow, look at all this stuff I built, and then it restarts. And it's fine. It's kind of like a slice of life. I was gonna drop it after episode 2, but he got married, so I'm like, I gotta see what happens next. But yeah, that's it. I think kind of. I'm calling it though. So you called the
High card.
High card. I'm
It's
calling
card something.
kind of the Great Snow
Yeah,
Sea.
High
I
card.
think that one's gonna be the banger for the season.
I'm gonna call Vinland Saga, cause
That's cheating.
Yours is probably the safest answer here.
Yeah.
because it's got hype and it's based off a award-winning manga.
Yeah, that's a cheating answer.
Hey,
You
who
should-
knows? Season 2 might have some struggles.
I bet I will say I bet Revenger's gonna be pretty good, honestly.
Yeah.
High Card was really fun. Okay, so episode 1 of High Card is kind of different than episode 2. Episode 2 is really where it kicks into like the Kingsmen feel. Episode 1's still good and it really sets like the world, but episode 2 sets like the tone of the series. Really fun.
All right.
I'll show these guys the outro. Yeah, it'll be good.
All right.
I
All right. We're gonna take a break. We went on longer than usual, but yeah, take a break. We'll be right back after.
What are we
This
doing when we come
jump.
back?
We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about Violet Evergarden.
Let's go. Let's cry, everybody. Let's cry together.
We didn't do anything like that. Sorry for the jump. But
Uh,
anyways,
Damn.
welcome
You
back.
got me excited.
guys.
I started
Yeah.
doing this
Yeah.
with you.
Sorry. Let's pretend like. All right, guys, welcome back.
You know, I'm just gonna put the whole thing
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Be like the guy from Ubisoft where he's like "Doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo." It's like
Peggle
an-
2.
No, there's like an Ubisoft conference where they call him Mr. Caffeine, and he was like, "All right, let's go back in the past." Doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
I
it
know
was
what you're
years
talking
ago.
about. That's cringy.
Oh,
It was You look up the clip, you're like, "Oh, why?"
I've seen the Peggle 2 one though. I know what
Yeah.
that one is.
Peggle 2 was Microsoft. They've got a lot of cringe themselves. But anyways, what's not cringe and what made me cry so hard
Oh my gosh, dude, for real.
was Violet Evergarden.
Holy freak! I knew it was gonna be sad going in, but like I didn't expect to cry as often as I did.
I
in
thought
the
it
show.
was like, oh, it's sad. I'm not gonna cry. Just horribly wrong.
I think I cried almost
Yeah.
every episode,
I
save
didn't-
for like a couple of them. I don't think I
only
cried for the first two.
I'm call me heartless, but I only cried one episode, and it's the episode that probably made everyone cry.
Yes,
So-
is that? I want to ask you about it. It's that
It's
episode.
It's the 10. Well, we're talking
episode
about the
10.
show. Full spoilers. It's episode 10.
the banger.
But before we get to that, you want to summarize the show for us, Skylar?
Sure.
Oh no, sorry, Cole. I'm sorry. I forgot who picked it. It's you, Cole.
I think so I'm gonna do my best to summarize it, but as I summarize it, let's just BS about it as
Yeah.
we go, because I think that's probably
Alright.
the most natural way to do it. So as I like talk about the episodes, feel free to like I don't bring up your thoughts as we go.
Yeah.
I don't know every single episode, like so there's some of them that kind of mix together, specifically episodes 1 and 2, and like what is it, like
a lot of them are like
11 and-
standalone.
yeah, some of them are very
Yeah.
standalone, some of them aren't. So the first little bit we have Violet is introduced essentially, and we see that she is
In
being-
the hospital.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
at the very beginning she's in the hospital
Yeah.
immediately after the war, and she's asking about the Major, and eventually we see that the Major was this person that more or less was a father figure to
Yeah.
her and took care of her and tried to help her, but also as the time or called for or whatever, they were in war and she was essentially trained to be a bloodthirsty soldier, and that's what she was, and so she did that too. So that's kind of where a lot of her trauma comes from / heartlessness and all that. So it's really interesting. Very
lacking of emotions.
yeah, very much so lacking of emotion. So it's a very interesting premise. We have this person that's very lacking in emotion and just doesn't really know how to communicate with people and doesn't really understand feelings or
Yeah.
emotion
she's,
in general.
She's treated like a dog, especially for the
A
beginning. She's
no,
very
no, she's treated like a doll.
a doll. She's very akin to just I'd say dog because the whole thing of like give me orders. I
well,
need
she
orders.
thought she was a dog too.
Yeah.
Like she that's why she picked the dog plushie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see the double meaning doll, dog. Ah.
Yeah. So real talk before we really get into it, literally the entire time that I knew about Violet Evergarden, without ever seeing anything about it, I thought she was a doll. I thought she was an automaton.
I kind of like, yeah, from the summary and like seeing her robot arms or mechanical arms, I thought she was like some kind of android automaton
It
thing.
literally wasn't until like one of the Warp flashback episodes where you see your arm get ripped off that I go, oh, she isn't a robot. She's actually
She's a
human. That kind of blew my mind, and I was like, how did it take me this long? Anyway, so Violet is essentially doesn't have anything to do. She has no idea what to do with her life. She doesn't really know what it means to live life at this point. And one of the lieutenants in the army that was friends with her father figure, the Major Gilbert, essentially takes her in and sets her up with a job. And her job will be to write letters for people because a lot of people seem to be illiterate in this time period / world that they're in, and help them formulate their emotions onto paper.
It's kind of funny since she didn't really have a childhood and she was just a soldier for war, but somehow she's more literate than like the rich
the
people.
Major taught
The
her.
Major's the one that essentially made her that way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she got adopted.
The Major essentially adopted her and kind of taught her English, or I guess English. Not
and
really English. They have a different language.
And she's like, some hints she's like abnormally intelligent because there's one point where it's like, actually, if by my calculations, it would take you about this long. She like did a math problem. Like, oh, so it's established she's like very smart.
Yeah, she is. She's very
like,
smart.
She's like smart, but like cold, like analytical. Like she doesn't.
She just has zero life experience.
Yeah, she has like common sense. She lacks common human sense.
Yeah.
Like that emotion. She's like just cold logic at first.
So to become a doll or a auto memory doll that writes these letters, they had to go to school, and she had to learn essentially how to do it. She meets some friends. She makes some friends there, and
it's not required to go to school.
Yeah, it's not required. It's just one
that
of those.
pin like makes you like, hey, I'm a real.
Yeah,
real deal.
it's like a certification essentially.
She got the graduation certificate.
Yeah. She went to tech school and got her degree. Anyway, so she does that. She fails at first, but then her friend at school helps her, and she's able to pass in the end. She goes on every episode from here on till like episode 9 is its own little story. Each one of them very heartwarming, very heart-touching, and this is where I was surprised that I cried literally every episode.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily full-out bawling cry, but, like, I definitely was tearing up almost every single episode.
So when I first
on.
watched episode 9, I was like, 8 and 9 were kind of like back-to-back, like, kind of story arc.
Yeah.
Within the show, it's like, and as I watched, it's like, this seems like an ending, and we got 4 more episodes? How do we... Then the next episode happens.
Yeah. So episodes, what is it, like 3 to 7?
Yeah.
Are their own individual stories. The first one we have is with a girl named Iris. The second one is, oh shoot, I just dropped it out of my head.
Redhead girl. I think that's at the school, is it not?
Yeah.
The school is before that.
That was before.
Yeah.
This.
Oh crap! it's the princess one.
Yeah.
Where she goes and helps the princess, and the princess is talking to a prince of another land. The next episode, she goes and does a lot of like data, like entering for a almost like a university like thing. The one after that is the last one of those kind of like mini one-off episodes.
Playwright about a guy's daughter.
The playwright one. Oh gosh.
Wife and daughter die of the same illness.
Dude, that one was sad.
And she helps him learn to write again.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
And then after that, we have 2 more backstory episodes of Violet, where we got to see a little bit more about her time at the war and also with the Major. And then we have the big boy episode 10.
So when did you realize it? There was something I was telling Cole because I remembered episode 10 for when I first watched it. This is my second watch, but I was saying the episode that hits the hardest is the one you watch and you don't really know what's going on, and then it just punches you in the gut.
It's like,
I knew from the first 3 minutes of the episode what was happening.
Oh, okay.
So spoiler alert, this Violet is essentially called to go do a
well,
letter.
It's already full spoilers, but
Yeah. I guess we're already doing full spoilers,
Yeah.
but she's asked to do a letter for a lady who's essentially dying, and they're keeping it a secret from their daughter that will essentially keep living on afterwards. And the letters that they are writing are for the little girl as she grows up without a mother. I knew within the first 3 minutes, as soon as they kept the little girl out of the writing room, I knew 100% it was for her.
See, I didn't
I knew
know
it was
that.
for her too. Like, I thought it was to be some kind of will or some kind of last gift, but I didn't expect to be that big and that emotional.
At first, I assumed it was a will, and then after they kept her out of it, I knew it was going to be like, oh, they're going to give her letters over a period of time or
See,
whatever.
I didn't know that when I first watched it. I thought, oh, she's just writing a whole bunch of different letters to a whole bunch of different people.
Yeah, I figured it was just for the little girl, and like, it's the classic, like, you know what's gonna happen, you know how it's gonna hit you, but you don't know how it's gonna hit you, and you don't know what's gonna happen. And it literally wasn't until she got the first letter that I just started bawling, dude.
Same.
Oh
And
my gosh. Like, I knew it was coming, too. Like I said, I knew from, like, 3 minutes in what was going to happen throughout the whole episode. And it was just this constant buildup of, like, oh, freak, it's going to hit. It's going to hit. And then, like, oh, man, you just really start, like, appreciating your life and, like, your parents. And, like, dang, dude, some people got it rough and, like, freak.
See, where I lost it twice during that episode, it was when she gets the first letter, and then when you see Violet just break down, and you're just like, oh.
Yep.
Woo!
She really does have a heart.
Yeah, but that's what's fun about this whole show. And one of I have two really big takeaways, but the first one that I wanted to talk about was communication is hard. Communication is so much more than just words. It's body language. It's how the words are delivered with your tone and meaning behind it. And it's fun seeing Violet kind of stumble through all of this, trying to learn how to communicate, because like you mentioned earlier, Thane, is she took everything at face value, what people were saying, and translated it literally instead of trying to have that communication behind it, of that extra layer of, I guess, communication, for lack of a better word, I guess. But it's so much deeper than just speaking words. It's the tone, the body language, it's everything that accumulates together. And it's something that I don't think people really think about, because it's almost second nature by the time you're in your teens and 20s. You're like, oh, this is how communication works. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The following episodes after episode 10 are essentially like conclusive and wrap-up episodes, / also this similar format of every episode is kind of its own thing. We see Violet go out to the war front to help a soldier write a letter just as they're passing away. And then the final episode is like essentially her final conclusions with the Major, and like the thought process of dealing with the grief that she has for him, and his
and also that story arc with his brother.
And like the Major's brother, and dealing with him, and
it suddenly went to action at the last minute. It was kind of a tonal shift. It was like, I don't know if it really fits with the rest of the show.
And I really appreciated that, actually, and I'll explain it. So, like, through the first half, or a little bit more than half, the first, like I said, 7 episodes is really, you get to learn about Violet. You get to see her circumstances. You get to see her learn about human emotions. You get to see her learn about interacting with others and all of that. And then you have 8 and 9, which is essentially more backstory and trying to understand even more so why she is the way she was, essentially. Episodes 10 and 11 are the episodes that are essentially the reward for sitting through all of that. You get to see her actually have emotions for these things. You get to see her actually react to the things that has happened in her life. The first thing, obviously, is when she loses it, when she gets back to the office and starts crying, when she realized, or the way she says it was, she said that she tried to keep it in, so she tried so hard to keep it in from crying while she was there, so that she wouldn't cry while she was there. so she'd be professional. And then she just got back and essentially let it out. And that's a great way to show Violet's emotions really kind of like essentially blooming, pun intended, right there. And then the second episode with her going back to the war front is essentially like a nice way to put a little bow on top of coming to terms with what she did as a soldier. You get to see her essentially go back into action too and fight again, but in a way where it's not the same kind of fighting like she once did. She's now fighting for the people that she cares about. She's trying to protect people rather than kill people like she was in the past. So it really is, you get to see a person's personality and just life essentially do a complete 180, and it's just great. It's really freaking good. I'm very impressed with it. I'm very happy I picked it, and I've never cried that much in a TV show, but yikes, dude! Every episode, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I remember when I first watched this, and I remember telling you this. I felt like Violet Evergarden was made for me. There were so many points that the show touched on that resonated with me, where I'm like, wow, they made this show not necessarily about me, but for me. And another really big point that I can't remember if Violet brings it up, or maybe it's just how I translated one of the themes, but it was talking about how Violet was just broken over the Major. She learned that he, spoiler alert, is dead, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. But what kept her going, essentially, was just her work of being an auto memories doll, and her being able to write for other people, because she saw the fruits of her labor and what her actions what effects her actions had on other people.
They never recovered his body.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's very left open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was like one of my biggest takeaways. And this is something that Cole and I have been talking about for years. Whenever we would be streaming to people, and people would always tell us, like, what do I do if I'm sad or I'm just stuck? And we've always come to the conclusion that if you're like depressed or stuck in life and you're not going anywhere, you have to try to keep yourself busy. Find something that you like to do and just
do something.
Keep moving forward. And I really liked how Violet came to that conclusion of, well, I'm just sad thinking about the Major, but I've seen what my skills and talents, like how they can affect and help people. I'm going to keep doing that because that helps me not think about the Major. It helps me keep going. And that was one of the themes that I really, really liked while watching the show.
I think it's just incredible to see how, like, just small little glimpses of how people have influences on you and how you have influences on other people. And obviously that's just how, like, life is in general. Every single person you come into contact with, you'll be able to influence, and they will influence you in some way, shape, or form. And with Violet Evergarden, you get to see that, like, on display. It's literally the point of each of the one-off episodes. Side little
Tangent.
It's like a comparison. Side little comparison. I found a lot of similarities between this and Kino's journey. Not necessarily for the sad storytelling or the emotional feels with the storytelling, but with these side stories that Violet was going on every episode. It is very similar to Kino's journey. Kino goes on a lot of these small little journeys, hence the name. And each episode is almost like its own little story, and you get to see all these different people and how they interact with Kino and how Kino interacts with them, as well as, like, the way that their world is. And that's what Violet got to do. She got to see other people's world and see how their world became the way it was, and in her own way was able to help them, and they in turn help her, which is really, really cool and very, very cool to see. I'm very happy that it was just portrayed so well too. Not only was it just portrayed so well, it was also just written in such a good way where you got to know each of these characters in such a short amount of time that you actually genuinely cared for them. At least for me anyway. Like Iris, the other memory doll that was her coworker, I was like, oh, she sucks. She kind of lame. But then, like, after the end of the episode, I'm like, freak, man. I'm human. You're kind of human too, and like we all got human struggles, and like each episode was like that. You had the princess, like I said, like for some reason her story really resonated with me, and then you have the boy that was helping transcribe some stuff for her for like the university or whatever they were working for. His little small story, I don't remember that dude's name, and like his still kind of resonated with me. And he was just there for like each of these people pretty much were there just for one episode, and you got to see the influences later on. Like they had little callbacks to a lot of these people later on, but just really cool, really good storytelling.
Also, 2 tidbits. So this is based off a light novel series, published by Kyoto Animation themselves, because sometimes they'll publish a light novel and then later adapt it. And there's 2 interesting tidbit things they adapted out of the anime. And one, Violet has a giant battle axe called Witchcraft.
Really?
in the light novel, and it's obviously left out because it wouldn't really fit well with the tone.
Not at all.
Even though she does the Terminator 2 thing with her robot hands. And then there was a character they cut out where she's like this demigod in another country, worshipped as demigod, and Violet saves her, and she goes and works at the Auto Memories doll as a secretary later. But they swapped her with that one girl who went to the school with Violet. She wasn't in the light novel, so they kind of like swapped.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that was interesting. Looking up on the wiki, I was like, wow, huh. Apparently, if you go and look at promotional material for Violet Evergarden, apparently she's holding the axe somewhere, but I haven't seen it.
Gotcha.
It was really interesting to see. It's like, huh, giant battle axe. Would have made a cool fighting game character now.
The last theme that I really liked, that really resonated with me, and I feel like this is something that everybody can relate to on some level, is Violet learns how to make decisions, going back to the very beginning, how she's almost like a dog who just needs orders, to when she gets to the end, she tells the Major's brother, I don't need orders anymore. It's not like that. I can do this. I can make my own decisions. And I feel like that's something that I've struggled with just growing up as a kid and kind of in the environment that I was raised in. Making decisions on my own was always tough because people had always made decisions for me. And I was very much so a people pleaser. And I didn't want to disappoint anybody. So I would always make decisions in line with what's going to make this person the happiest. You know what I mean? Neglecting myself. And I don't know. I just thought that was a really fun and powerful theme. And like you already mentioned, Cole, they portrayed all these things so well in this show. They just did such a good job of making it feel human. Very relatable.
She had a goal. While she did this, she had a goal. She wanted to find out the words, what they meant. I love you, because that's what Gilbert said before she had to abandon him.
I do want to loop one more time back to episode 10 really quick. The last thing that I wanted to say about that is the reason why I think that episode hits as hard as it does is because of its placement in the story. I imagine that if we would have, if Violet would have went to that house 3 or 4 episodes prior when she was doing those every single episode she goes to a new place, I imagine that we probably wouldn't have been as impacted by that story because we were experiencing Violet's story as well as these other people's stories. But before like episode 8 and 9, you really like Violet's story wasn't really like conclusive yet. That's like the aftermath of her story is episodes 10 and 11 and 12. You really get to see like the person she became as a result of all the things she had done. And I think the biggest reason is because you got to see Violet realize what the Major was to her, that he really was like a father figure for her and really cared about her and wanted to protect her in any way that he could possible. And then she goes to a family where it's literally the same dynamic with her mother and the mother's daughter. And I imagine the entire time, if say that Violet was a real person, she'd probably be putting herself in the little girl's shoes literally the entire time. I bet that's probably why she had such a hard time trying to keep it and not crying right then and there, because she was literally thinking to herself, wow, this little girl is me, and the mom is the major. I guarantee you that thought went through her head over and over and over again, which is why it hits as hard as it does, let alone it being a really good message and very sad tale right there. And hits close to home for many people, especially people that have lost their parents. Thankfully, I haven't. None of us really have yet either. I mean, eventually we will, but like at a young age, especially, that's even more so rough. Like I couldn't even imagine, but Violet could, and that's why it hit hard for her, and in turn hits hard for us because we're watching that journey with her the entire time. But like I said, I think if that story took place a couple episodes before, I don't think it would hit as hard as it does, just because of the weight of everything else around had kind of culminated and weighed down on Violet as the character in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you said it yourself. You teared up again after Violet started breaking down too. Yeah, I think that's the key indicator right there for that.
Yeah, the show bops, dude. It's just so well written.
I had a good cry.
Yeah, and it's
A
just
lot of good cries for me.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, and for some reason you listen to this whole podcast of us just gushing about it, go watch it for yourself.
Yeah. Also, we didn't talk about much since I've only seen it, but watch the movie called Violet Evergarden, the movie. There is another movie and a OVA. You can watch those two. It's not required, but I mean, it's more Violet Evergarden. They're pretty good. But watch, it's just called Violet Evergarden, the movie. You need to watch that one.
2.5 hours long or something?
Yeah, it's 2.5 hours long. It's pretty long, so make sure you set some time for it. But it is good. You need to watch it.
Yeah, I think we're
When I
gonna watch
say
this
I
weekend,
cried
too.
harder on that one than the show, I mean it. I did. There was a scene where I just like lost it. I was like, no, God, no.
Oh gosh, look at you're telling us. I'm over here just thinking about it. I don't even.
Yeah, dude. The music is awesome. The visuals and the art style I'm in love with. I love that. I think it's Victorian era
Yeah,
that
kinda
they're
like
in.
that, yeah.
It's just, man, this show just fires on all cylinders for me.
Shout out to Kyoto Animation for getting me to cry
Yeah.
twice in your shows.
And you want and
I've never cried
The
in any other
first-
show, but now I got Clanad and Violet Evergarden.
and the saddest part about this, the first movie was completed a day before the tragic arson attack. So
it was.
yeah.
Oh jeez.
So
So it's even closer now.
but thankfully they
Or harder.
they got their spirits up and made the movie, and I think it almost acts as a tribute to the people lost, and it's a horrible thing that happened, but I'm glad they're still around.
Yeah,
It was only one of the offices that was attacked, but they still carried on. It's just a horrible thing that happened, and I'm glad they're still here.
It's crazy how much that their stories
To-
can impact people, though. Like, I'm glad they're still going.
That thing that happened to one of the studios that's only really made like wholesome anime. Like you look at the repertoire, it's like, damn, all these anime are like just wholesome, soft, fluffy anime. It's really sad, but I'm glad that they're still around.
Yeah, for sure. Like, even though you do cry a lot in these shows, and especially Violet Evergarden, like, it would like it's really about the message rather than just like the emotions
Yeah.
you get from it. That's why I think it's so well done. Like, it specifically forces you to feel emotions, and I think that's partly why it's so good. And they did a good job of doing that. So I picked this one. Is that mean that Thane's turn to pick next?
Yeah, it's my turn.
Wait,
The
are you
ring-
sure, or is it my turn?
I think it's Thane's turn because the one
Yeah.
before this was Castlevania.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it
And you picked
was, yes.
Here
I've been
Skylar's
waiting
over
for
here
this.
like, oh boy, I can't
All
wait
right,
to pick
guys.
mine.
I waited all week for
All right, guys, to
I'm
ring in
kidding.
the new year, we got throwback to the Spike TV era with Mountain Dew and Gamer Bro
I love Mountain
magazines.
Dew.
Gonna watch Afro Samurai.
Oh, no way. Afro Samurai?
Yeah, and it's 5 episodes. It's short, so I decided to throw the movie Resurrection on top of it because it's essentially, I did the math, it's like 8.5 episodes if you watch it all together. So you
That's
can
not
watch
bad.
watch the show in one afternoon and the movie in another afternoon. But anyways, yeah. So where you can watch this, it's a little weird. You can watch the show on Crunchyroll and Funimation if it's still around by then. I'm pretty sure they're dissolving it soon.
Soon.
But it's Crunchyroll. But the movie, for some reason, they don't have on Crunchyroll, even though they own it. But you could watch it for free on a website called Tubi.
Tubi.
Yeah. And you can also watch it on Hulu. They have it on Hulu.
The movie or the show?
Both of them.
Oh,
Both of them. They have both the movie and the show on Tubi and Hulu, and they only have the show on Crunchyroll. But Tubi's free, and as far as I know, ad-free. Because
And legal?
And legal. It's legal.
Good job, Tubi.
Yeah,
I don't know what
Tubi-
you are, but I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's a it's a website I always see where it's like when you Google something, it's like where to watch, and Tubi's one. It's like a website where you can watch a bunch of like old stuff and it's ad free, completely free. You can watch the entirety of Afro Samurai right on there, and yeah,
I'm gonna get some whiplash from crying my eyes out every single day to action. I'm assuming
Yeah.
what Afro Samurai is.
yeah, bloody blaxploitation action. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
blaxploitation. Surprisingly,
I remember seeing like ads and stuff for Afro Samurai when I was a kid, but I never saw it.
yeah, the main character is black
He's a big old afro.
and voiced by Samuel L. Jackson.
Is it? It's Japanese, right?
Yeah, it's based off a Japanese manga, but the anime is like partially American produced.
Okay, because
It
I
has
remember
that
seeing.
so-
I swear it was Cartoon Network.
Stacked with a celebrity cast and no Japanese audio, just a English.
So is
It
it?
wouldn't even be a dub. It's just an English voice.
It's like Studio Ghibli production quality because of like the.
It's
cast.
Gonzo.
I guess not production
Yeah.
quality, but like localization quality.
From what I've
Studio
seen, it
Ghibli.
looks pretty good animation, but Gonzo's one of those more budget studios. So
I guess like I said, I meant the localization.
Yeah,
It's like Ghibli's
yeah.
always got like
yeah,
I don't know what's
Big
his
name
face?
actors.
yeah.
The guy that did Batman. What's his name?
Christian Bale.
They got Christian Bale. He's
Yeah.
Hal from Howl's Moving Castle.
they
for
got-
example.
They got Samuel Jackson and voicing two characters, surprisingly. Then they got Ron Perlman and I'd have to look up who else is in there, but yeah, they got those two in there.
Well, that'll be good. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
A little bit of a shorter one too. That's kind of nice
Yeah.
as well. I always kind of like going back and forth from the longer to shorter ones.
So remember watching the show and the movie.
The show and the movie.
The movie's called Afro Samurai Resurrection.
Hopefully the title's not a pseudo spoiler. I'm just kidding.
It's probably
probably
not.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just like
kidding.
resurrecting the property or something. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's it for the show this
We
week.
did it.
It was a long first episode back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back. I imagine the next episode don't be as long just
Yeah.
because we have less to talk about with our weekly stuff.
And it was Afro Samurai. We might not talk about it because it might be terrible, but I've seen good things. So, anyways, we'll see. We'll see if it's good in the next episode of Life is Daijoubu. Until then,
Oh, wait, before you close it, we got to remind you we're going to start the Pokemon.
yeah,
The
Pokemon.
Pokemon watch along. So next week, next Friday will be the first episode that airs. We will have watched episodes 1 through 5 of the original Pokemon
Yeah.
anime, and we're going to talk about them, and we're going to
And
discuss our
it's-
thoughts and all that jazz.
And it's
So-
5 episodes, and maybe we change it up with a movie every week. Or
No,
2
no,
weeks.
no.
2
We're-
weeks. 2 weeks.
No,
Or-
the movies will show up quote
Okay.
unquote chronologically. They're not necessarily anime canon, but they do have a chronology to them. So we're
Okay.
going to try to do a chronology with them.
Okay.
Yeah. The schedule is posted on the YouTube community page as well as our Twitter. Essentially, from January all the way through February, it's just 5 episodes every other week. So,
Yeah.
yeah, look forward to that. And so that's next week, next Friday. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing Afro Samurai. And
Next
more
week's
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
next week, Pokemon.
So yeah, all right. That's it for the show. Have a nice day. Have a nice life. And make sure to keep it Daijoubu.
We'll see everybody. Have a great
Bye.
life.